Hi team, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about geographic location and its effect on supporting participation. So where you live could decide what you play, and it's often subconscious factors, things that we don't really think about too much, that have an influence on our sport. Okay, so ask yourself these questions. Have you ever lived beside a sports ground and thought if I get bored I could go and kick a ball around? Have you ever lived beside a school and wanted to go and shoot hoops? Have you ever seen people walking around town with supporters kit and thought, I want to watch that team play? Have you ever gone to the park and seen people throwing around a frisbee and thought, I'd love to give that a go? And I suppose what I'm asking you is, has your environment ever given you ideas to play sport or participate in any form of activity? And if it has, you've probably found that your environment has affected your sporting participation, because if that environment or that thing wasn't there, those hoops or that ground, you probably wouldn't go and do that chosen activity or sport. If we break it down a bit, if we look at different countries, so here we've got New Zealand and America. Obviously, in New Zealand, we're a huge rugby nation. We're constantly surrounded by rugby. The All Blacks are a huge thing. So if you think you want to play a contact sport, you're probably going to play rugby. And in the summertime, we're surrounded by our cricket, and our cricket team's doing quite well. So you're likely to give cricket a go. Whereas in America, if you're showing that same sort of athletic talent and contact sport, you go and play gridiron or NFL. And also the same sort of striking type sport in America is NHL or ice hockey. Okay, so the differences in the two nations. In New Zealand, if you're living here, you're influenced by that environment, and if you're in America, you're influenced by the environment over there. If we break that down a little bit more, in Wellington, obviously you've got the pretty wicked facility of the ASB in there, and if you live around that, it's a lot easier, or you're more likely to play indoor games such as netball, futsal, basketball, or volleyball. Whereas out here in Upper Hutt, we have huge, wide open spaces, so you're probably and really good tracks and walks and stuff like that. So you're probably more likely to do motocross, equestrian, mountain biking, or tramping, or something like that. Okay, so that's the breakdown of the local environment. Also, if you're walking down the main street of Upper Hutt, in terms of your club sport, you might see a few Upper Hutt Football Club tops bandaged around. So you're probably likely, if you're a football player, to go and play for Upper Hutt. It is close, and the facilities are just down the road. Plus, you'll also see a lot of people wearing their kit. Whereas if you're in Wellington, you're probably more likely to play for one of those inner city clubs, such as Miramar. Again, the same sort of thing. You're walking down the street, you'll see people wearing Miramar Football Club clothing, those sorts of things. So that is your influence there. Also, with your environment and home life, if your mum and dad love football, okay, and watch the Premier League and those sorts of things, then you're more likely to play football yourself. And like we have discussed, you're probably likely to play for the Upper Hutt Football Club. Whereas if your family loves rugby and are constantly watching rugby, and your dad and your mum, they both play rugby, then you're probably more likely to play rugby yourself, because you're influenced by that home environment. And when you play rugby, obviously in Upper Hutt, you're like Mr. Pearson there, and you play for the Upper Hutt Rams. So that's the influence that your environment has on your sporting participation. Obviously, with your environment, you're looking for easy options. Unless you're getting paid to play sport, generally you'll play a sport that is close to your home, and even if you have grounds that just around the corner, even better. Okay, so that is the influence that environment has on our sporting participation.